Okay. Okay, leverage part, all right. Leader Doris, I'm not being allowed to share my screen. Only the host can share in this meeting. All right,
Please, you
thank
can
you. I have.
try it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let me retake the leverage portion. So I was saying, if I have a capital of $10 and I go to take leverage, this is how the leverage is calculated or taken. Is if I put in 2x, which means I'm taking 2 times, which means the exchange, which means the money that I have in my exchange is now times 2 of whatever I had. So if I had $10 capital and I take 2x, it means I have $20 capital now. This $20 capital, how much collateral do I have for this $20 capital that I have now? I have $10 capital collateral, right? Good. So if I increase my leverage, to, let's say, the same $10, then I increase my leverage to, let's say, 10x, means I now have $100. I now have $100 from the exchange, and I only have $10 as what? As my collateral. I only have $10 as my collateral for the $100 that the exchange has given me. What does this mean? This means that when the market goes against me by $10, I'm going to lose the position that I have in the market because the exchange isn't willing to lose its money. So we need to always know this in mind. Please, if this is clear, I want to see one in the comment section or in the chats. Thank you. Let me come to the chat and look at that quickly. Get feedback. Okay. So if you don't get it, put 2. If you get it, put 1. If you don't get it, you put 2. If you get it, put 1. All right, Margaret, come again. All right. I have 2. All right. 2 2s is enough for me to go back and then take this over. All right. So let me take it once again. If I have a capital of $10, and then I decide to go in for leverage, how much do I want to take? If I want to take $20, I put 2x. 2x here simply means 2 times my capital. I have $10 in my exchange. This is my capital, $10, 10 USDT. And then I want to use leverage, and I want $20 of that. So it's just 2x. 2x simply means 2 times my capital. So even if my capital is $100 and then I put 2x, it means 2 times $100. That is why I always recommend that if you think that 10x you can't tolerate, that looks too risky for you, reduce your leverage. That is why we have 2x, 3x, and so on. Okay, so let's assume that I have taken a leverage of, let's say, 10x. Let's say 10x leverage. So my 10x leverage is now equal, will now give me $100 because my capital was what? Was $10. $10 capital, and then I take a leverage of 10x is going to give me $100. Why? 10 times 10, 100. Is this part clear, please, before I move on to explaining when you get liquidated? All right. I want to see reply from, I want to get a reply from Leader Margaret, and then, okay. All right. Thank you. So Leader Margaret, no, your capital is not equivalent to to FBA, which is first buy in amount. No, it's not equivalent to that. First buy in amount is definitely a portion of your capital, but it's not equal to your capital or equivalent to your capital. No. Okay. Now, assuming that I'm giving that $100, or I've now taken leverage, and then I have $100. Now, this is the leveraged amount, and my capital itself is just $10. Okay. And then I pick a trade, and the trade goes into negative $10. It goes against me up to negative $10. You see that at this point, Binance will give me alert in my email of what? Of liquidation. Or even before the $10, I'll be told that they will liquidate me. What I'm trying to all of us to understand is that when your capital is equal to your leverage, sorry, when your capital is equal to the negative value here, it means that you lose your position if you took 10x, for example. But if you took lesser than 10x, no, you wouldn't lose your position just like that. So the more leverage that you take with this same $10, the lesser room you have. So always monitor when you go in for leverage, and then your negatives. Using my example of me having $10 and going in for a leverage of $100. Sorry, for a leverage of 10x, which gives me $100. It means that when the market goes against me by 10%, because my money is just 10% of the amount I have borrowed. Let's get this clear. 10% of $100 is $10. So when the market goes against me by 10%, in actual value, okay, by 10%, I'm going to lose my position. Therefore, I'll be liquidated. Remember, because I took times 10, everything that will be happening is going to be times 10. So you realize that 1% will now become 10%. 2% will become 20% when you are monitoring. Because why? You've taken 10 times of your capital. So everything happening as at that time is going to be by that multiples of 10. So 1% drop, you see it as 10%. 2% drop, you see it as 20%. So for Binance to liquidate me, it will be that I will see 100% in my bracket. Since I have $10 and I went in for $100, I will see 100% in the bracket. Then I see $10 outside of the bracket like this with some negative sign there, like this. Why am I seeing 100% here? The reason I'm seeing 100% in the bracket here is that, remember, I took a leverage of 10x. So when I take a leverage of 10x, 1% drop is interpreted as 10% drop. 2% drop is interpreted as 20% drop. So remember, my $100, 10% of $100 is what? Is $10. 10% of $100 is $10. So when it drops by 100%, which means that in actual sense it's 10% drop. But because I took leverage of 10, so it will be 10x. It will be 10x because I took leverage of 10. So 10% drop will be 10 times 10, which is 100%. So I'll be seeing it as 100% out here. Please, if this is clear, let's put one in the chat. If I have to go over, then I go back. Will it be the same if you are using? Okay. So we have here. Will it be the same if you are using isolated but have a higher leverage? So will liquidation be the same if you are using isolated but have higher leverage? Does losing position same as losing your capital, yet you borrowed only $10? All right. So starting from the first question, will it be the same if you are using isolated but irrespective? When you are using isolated margin and then you lose, have a higher leverage. Yes, you will lose the money that you have allocated for that. Okay. Yes, irrespective whether you are using isolated or cross margin, liquidation will get you. But as for isolated, you only get liquidated with the amount that is being allocated for that particular asset. Okay. Then will liquidation be same if you are using isolated but have a higher leverage? So same question. I hope I've answered that. Does losing position same as losing your capital? Yes. Losing position means you are losing your capital, yet you borrowed only $10. Okay, then I don't see the profit for the leverage. Bello Ramsey, which question did you ask? And then you don't see the profit for your leverage. All right, let me get back to here. So Bello, there is benefits when you go in for leverage. If you are winning the trade, you win at the same rate. So let us do this. I've been talking about negative. Now let's go the positive way. Let's assume all your $100 goes into the market and then you are winning. Maybe your take profit is, let's say, 10%, weirdly 10%. You see at that same place where you find that you have negative 100%, you see it to be positive 100%. You don't see positive sign there, but it's 100%. And you realize that you've made $10 as profit. You see it like this. Ramsey, please, if this answers your question. There is advantage when you go in for leverage. It means that if you are making, you make more. If you are losing, you lose more. So assuming the trade goes for you positively, 10%, you see it here as 100 because remember, it's just 10 times your actual money. And you see that here you have $10. turn it 180 degrees. If the trade is to go against you by 10%, which is negative 100, you find it to be negative 100. Okay, because this time around that the trade is now against you, but it doesn't really mean that the thing has dropped by 100%. No, it's because you have taken leverage. In actual sense, it's just 10% drop, but you've taken leverage of times 10. And remember, I've told you, once you take leverage of times 10, anything that you do is being calculated and multiplied by 10. That is why when we get to our strategy settings, which is a margin course, I will explain the margin configuration, why you should pay attention that anything you are doing there, you should calculate based on times 10. Okay. Someone also asked that what if you are using 50? What if you are using 5x? So assuming my capital is let me get this. All right. Assuming my capital is $10 again, then I pick 10x leverage. Sorry, the person here is requesting 5x leverage. 5x. It's simply 10 times 5, which gives me 50. So I have $50. I have $50 there for me. Okay. So now, this $10 in percentage, how much of $10 is $50? Okay. For me, always I say for me, what I believe is that this math issues, you should just mental strategy is very, very good. 10% is for $100. $10 is 10% of $100. So $50 is smaller, and which is half of $100. So definitely, if 100 is 10, then 50 will be 20. So $10 makes 20% of $50. So you understand now, when you are going to lose your trade, it will only be if you pick 5x with the same $10. It means that the trade must go against you by 20% ordinarily. Ordinarily by 20%. 20%. Like this. You see it like this. And then you see it in red color. And then you see here minus $10. So in the bracket here, you see 20, but you see 200%. Okay, you see 200%. So now let's, when you have a larger leverage, yours is at 100% because you took higher leverage. The person who has the same capital but went in for lesser leverage will have to still go down up to 200% before losing their position, which is 20%. I hope this answers the question asked. Come back to Zoom and check. So in that case, as explained, one can use isolated and a higher leverage since in case of liquidation, you only you only lose the amount. Yes. In isolated, yes, it's just like that. All right. Thank you. I understand now. Bello Ramsey didn't respond, but I was particularly answering his question. But if others say yes, then let's just move on. Thank you. So I'm moving to the next part of the training. Yes, using less leverage gives you more room to breathe. Yes, with respect to your capital, gives you more room to breathe generally. Yes, I've met some leaders on this platform, very wonderful leaders, who only go at most 5x. They don't exceed that. Okay. So I'm going to the next part. Sorry. Which is, let me go open my Trade, and I'm just pick any point here and then go to my trade settings. Okay. Now, let's say I've received a signal that I should, maybe let's say we should trade ING. ING. So I come to create boats and then I look for ING. I search for ING. I tap on ING, then I tap I understand. The signal would give me an instruction. ING long or ING short. Okay. So this morning I saw ING short. So I tap on the short side like this. Let me use my marker to make it clear. Short this side. Okay. So I select short and then now I'm in. The next thing I do from here, from short, what I do next is to come to trade settings. So from short, after you tap on short, and then it brings you here, the next thing you do, where you move your hand next to, is trade settings. Okay. From short, you move your hand next to trade settings. That's why I've done this long arrow so that it can help with eye coordination. Okay. From short, the next place you move your hand to is trade settings. So I tap on trade settings. Then it opens. When I come to trade settings, the first thing I do, if you're using iPhone, I think my template is it's at the top. So if you're using iPhone, Apple, you have my template should be the first thing. But for demonstration purpose, I'm using Android. So my template is the first place you would come to. Okay, as you can see, I have Coach Aminate's futures settings here. So when you tap on my template, you don't tap on the word my template, you tap on this arrow here, this arrow pointing down. That is where you tap this arrow. Let me go back and circle it, please. This arrow pointing down, that is where you tap, or the space there where Coach Aminata future is being written. That is where you tap. Okay. Then when you tap there, you'd go in and then pick. You select. I tap there like this, and it brings me to my strategy settings. If this is your first time, or if you don't have any strategy, you can just tap on the plus icon at the top side like this. So the plus icon here, I hope everyone can see that. The plus icon. Then it brings you a new template. Okay. If you already have a template, which is mostly we give templates. Yes. Maybe you've attended one of our leaders class and you have a template like I do. I have a template from Coach Aminata here. So when you already have a template, this is how you select it. Where first buying amount is being written, okay, you tap there. Just tap on the first buying amount. And then it would open. Let me tap there, then it opens. Now that template has been copied and pasted here. Everything in that template is here. So we are going to move on. I'm using $10 to trade. That's my capital. $10. That is my capital. So the next thing I do is to come to first buy-in amount. Before I go into calculating first buying amount, let me come to the comment section and check if everything is okay. Please. If you understand so far, please put 1 in the comment section. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Now, let's get to business. Continue. From the next thing you do is to now come to calculate your first buy-in amount. To calculate, you tap. Where I'm circling is where you tap. Here. Where the 4 is written, you tap there to change the value in there. Good. By default, when I open this, like this by default, this is what you see. Oh, good. In most cases, you find this here on ING. Mostly $5. $5. Yes. So let me explain here very well. This side is different from the spot aspect. On the futures, we deal with tokens, the quantity of tokens. So you see that next to the 0.4, next to the 0.4, next to it, you find that we have ING. So if I'm to be trading XRP, next to the value there, I will find XRP. Exactly where I'm pointing with the ING. I'll find what? XRP. If I'm trading BTC, I'll find BTC there. Now below, let me if I can change color. Can change color. So below I find what? Equivalency. So this 0.4 ING is equivalent to 5.762 USDT. Let's assume 5 USDT. As I am having a capital of $10, my minimum buying amount is 5. I'll go in for leverage of 10x. So my $10 becomes $100. But the question we want to answer here is, how do I calculate my FBA? Given that I have 0.4, I have a simple strategy that I use. And today I'm willing to share. If your division is so long, you want to have, let's say, put $10 here as your first buying amount. And you are being told that the minimum that you can buy is 0.4, which is equivalent to 5. We all know from school as early as grade 1 that 5 times 2 is 10. So if 0.4 is equivalent to 5, then I just multiply 0.4 by 2. So 0.4 times 2. The quantity that I get, I will come to write it here, and it will give me the equivalency of $10. Let me go and demonstrate with you using the calculator. Do I even have a calculator? Yes, I do. Okay. Because sometimes signals are very sharp. So my minimum 0.4 for ING, I multiply by 2. 0.8. So quickly I go back, put my 0.2 there. Sorry, 0.8. This gives me 11. Yes, I obviously understand because the minimum was what? 0.4, which is 5.7. Let me reduce it a little bit to see something. No, so 0.4, yes. So I will get 0.8, which is 11. So it's a little bit above that. But it's okay. This is faster. If this is clear, put 1 in the chat for me, please. Let me come to the chat. What difference? Where from the 2, please? Augustine, about the 2, eh? 2, 2. Where is 2? Okay, let me get back. Thank you all. Thank you. I see most of you say you understand. All right. So let me go back there. 2. Okay, let me take it again. But I can't remember having any 2 anywhere. So I have 0.4, which is the minimum. I said if you have never traded a coin and you pick it, they give you the minimum. If you want to see this, let me just put some 0.1 here and try to save the settings to see. They will tell me, you see, so less than, cannot be less than 0.4. So yes, so 0.4 is the minimum. 0.4 is it's equivalent to 5 point something. Okay, 5.7. I said mental strategy in mass. If 0.4 is equivalent to 5.7, or let's just say 5. Me, the most important thing for me is I see the figure 5. Okay, so I know that 5 times 2. As for 5 times table, everyone knows it. So okay, 5 times 2 gives me 10. Okay, then if 0.4 is equivalent to 5, then 0.4 times 2. So I go to my calculator, like I did earlier. Then I see 0.4, which is the minimum amount. 0.4 times 2. So I think this was the 2, please forgive me, the name.
Augustina.
So this was the 2 Augustina was asking of. This 2 is just the multiple at this place. Please come with me. Remember that I said because I'm using $10 capital, so the minimum that I would like to buy if I'm using a $10 capital and then using 10x is 5. Whether I like it or not, it is $5 that I can buy. But let's say for you have, let's say you decide to use $10 to buy as your first buying amount. Here you can't find $10 in the box, but you find 5.7 something USD, which is the equivalence of the quantity. So since I want 10, what do? I know that this 5 is equivalent to 0.4. And I know from school that 5 times 2 will give me 10. And here it's telling me that 0.4 is equivalent to that 5. Then since 0.4 is the same as that 5, then 0.4 times 2 will give me my 10. That is why when I went to the calculator side, I put 2 there. 2 there. So this 0.4 here represents the 5 that I want. Sorry, the 5 that is the minimum amount. Okay? Then I just multiply it by 2. Now, let's assume I want to make my first buying amount 20. I know that 5 times 4 is 20. So I just multiply here by 4. It gives me 1.6 here, which is in the quantity of ING. So the 1.6, when I come in here and then put 1.6, 1.6, you see that it gives me a little bit. So even I can read it 1.5, 1.4. Okay, so I did some small adjustments. You just need to adjust around. So 1.4 gives me my 20. So this is if you can't go the long way. You can't go the long way. Okay? If you can't go the long way, this is the strategy I've also been using, especially if I'm in a hurry. Okay? I hope this is clear. I hope this is now clear. Because the first binary is very, very crucial. Oh, it's normal calculator. Pearl, PH team. It's normal calculator I just use. Pearl is Royal Q app, but is using future settings and not spots. Okay. All right, so it's Royal Q. Where from? Okay, but no margin call for 10 capital. Watch me closely, please. I'll get there. Don't worry. All right. So I'm proceeding. Now with my $10, I decide to make here 0.8. Let's see. 7 will, okay, so 0.7 will even give me $10. Exactly $10. Now from there, the next place you move to, okay, please let's follow my teaching so that we'll get your questions. Okay, some of the questions I'm going to answer them when I go to margin configuration. The next place you come, we've already spoken about leverage. Where do you then key in your leverage? It's at here. Here. You key in your leverage here. Here. Here's where leverage is. So we have 10x, but you decide. If you want to put 2x, fine. Even if you want to go 1x, 1x simply means you didn't borrow any money. It's your own capital that is going in. 2x, 2 times my $10, which is now $20. So I am using $10 as an example. If I go in, if I decide to multiply it by 2, which means I have $20 now, and I decide to make my first buying amount, understand? A minimum of this, I can open at least I have some $10 more. I can open 2 margin calls because now I'm taking leverage. Okay, this 2x, this level is giving me the power to open margin calls. Other than that, if it's only my capital, this my 5 will not allow me to open margin calls. But we all know margin call is very, very important. So someone asked the question in relation to that $10 you don't have, then it means you don't have to open margin call. I don't, unless maybe the market is in a very strong bullish momentum. But today we can all see. Yesterday, today, the market is undergoing a normal retracement pullback, right? So in that case, I go with a minimum first buying amount. Then I open margin call. So I have $10. If I decide to go in for 5x, it's now $50 that I have from the exchange now. So $50, and then if I decide that my first buying amount should be $5, this is what I will maintain. If I decide that my first buying amount should be $10, I will just manipulate here and make it so 0.5 times 0.4 times 2, 0.8. I decide to make it 0.7. I get my 10. So now I have $50, and I decide that my first buying amount is going to be $10. My first buying amount is going to be $10. All right. Now, when you do your leverage, so I decide to put 10x here, 10x, 10x, 10x here. Okay, all right. So 10x for the leverage. Then you proceed to, from this settings was given to me by Coach Aminata. I attended her class. So she recommended margin call limit to be 5. No, but this is for $30 settings, okay? So because I have only $10 and then I've taken leverage of 10x, okay, I will decide on how many margin calls to open. Because if my first buying amount is just 10 USD, I still have 40 there. Maybe I can open 4 margin calls depending on what I want to use for my as my first buying amount. So if let's say I'm buying all 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, I just open 4 margin calls. If I'm using 5 for each, I just open how do you call it? I can get about maybe some 8 margin calls. Okay. So margin call limit with my $10, where I take 100, sorry, where I've taken 10x leverage from here, maybe I'll decide, okay, I'll open 5 margin calls. So how do you then adjust your margin call limit. This brings you to you coming to margin configuration. Margin configuration. So this is it. When you come in here, you have your first buying amount done, 1. Step 2, you come to work on your leverage. Step 3, you come to configure your margin. But if you already have a template which has been worked out for you perfectly, you just work on your first buying amount and then you go ahead and then save and then you activate your trade. But we are learning how to configure ourselves. So you come work on your first buying amount and you come to your leverage. Then you go and then configure your margin calls. Now, when you have your leverage, now you know that with my $10, I now have 10, I've taken 10x leverage, so now I have $100. I have $100. Okay. Now with my $100, okay. Let me see how many margin calls can I open after using 10. I'm left with 90 more. How many margin calls can I open? I can just go to my calculator and divide 90. Maybe let's say I want to open let's say 10 calls. That is not possible. I'll have to buy 9999. No. So I just go, I have $90 now left. Okay. So $90, I decide how many margin calls I want to open. At most, $90, you just open 4, 5 margin calls. It's okay. Even 2 is okay. You have to decide on the number of margin calls to open in this case. Okay. So when you put your margin call limit, the number of margin calls you want to open, then you open margin configuration. Let me hold on here and go to that question because this side is very confusing most cases. Let me see any question here. Clear. Why is the $100 not showing under the default price? To cook grace, at what point do you factor in the amount you multiply by leverage as first buy in amount? At what point do you factor in the amount? I think I've already dealt with that. If your FBA is $10 and your leverage is 10x, does it mean your actual capital in the FBA is $1? Exactly, Samuel. Yes. Yes. It's just like that. Because I've already explained to you that once you take 10x, everything, these 10 you see here, this 10 USDT, 10.04, is already reading in leverage. Is reading in the equivalency of leverage already. Okay. So I'm proceeding to margin configuration. So let's say, so from the margin configuration I have here, even though I'm going to do some adjustments here. Let me start from the margin call increase side. When it comes to margin configuration, we have margin call increase and a multiple buy-in ratio. Margin call increase and multiple buy-in ratio. First call, 0.2. This 0.2 here, remember what I told you. When you take leverage, always know that, let's say you've taken 10x, always know that everything you should be thinking of the 10x. So the 0.2 you see here is not actually zero, it's not like real 0.2. Remember, the 0.2, because you have taken 10x, it will read as 2%. It will read for you as 2%. Second call, yes, actual drop you see, but you see it as 2%. Remember, you have taken leverage 10x. My leader has been explaining this multiple times in her videos as well as Brother Emmanuel too. That the 0.2 you see here, everything here is going to be the multiples. So when you see 0.2 here, you will find it when you are in trade, you see it as 2% drop. So you see your first buying will buy when you have 2% drop. That's what you see over there. Because remember, you are using leverage times 10 or 10x. So the 0.2 be times 10. So my first call here, the call drop, excuse me, I have 0.2. Second call drop 0.2. Third call drop 0.2. Then fourth call 1%. Fifth call 1%. Now, let's come to multiple buy-in ratio. I just need people to understand this before I say, okay, Henry, this is what I'm going to do. I just need you to understand how this margin calls, they work. I come to multiple buy-in ratio. Here I have 0.5. 0.5 of what? So 0.5 times of what? This multiple buy-in ratio, someone asked the question. The multiple buy-in ratio here will be multiplied by your first buy-in amount. So I have my first buy-in amount to be 10 USDT here. So if my margin configuration, my multiple buy-in ratio, please, the multiple buy-in ratio, what you put there is going to be multiplied by the FBA, 0.5 times FBA, your first buy-in amount. Where's the first buy-in amount, please? The first buy-in amount is here. Is here. Is this 10? Is this 10? This is the first buy-in amount. So my margin configuration at that place, my multiple buy-in ratio is going to be, since I put 0.5 here, it means that 0.5 times 10, because I have my FBA to be 10. Oh, times 10, I have my FBA to be 10, is it? So this is going to be 0.5 times 10. That is how it's been calculated. This is the engine of your Royal Key robot. This is the engine of your trade. So the 0.5 here is telling you that anytime that the your trade, the price of the asset drops 0.2, which you see it as 2% because you are using leverage of 10x, it should buy 0.5 times the first buying amount. So the 0.5 here is going to 0.5 times the first buying amount. My first buying amount is 10. You all know 0.5 means half. So let me just go to my calculator and show you. 0.5 times my first buying amount is, so I have $5. So here you see, here will be bought, here it will buy $5, here $5, here $5. Okay, because this first call, the multiple buying ratio is what? Is 0.5. 0.5. So 0.5 times the first buying amount. My first buying amount is 10. So it will be buying $5, $5, like that. Like that. Here is 1 time. So this 1 times for calculation purpose, for understanding purpose, also 1 times the 10. So here, when it drops further again, I'll have 1 times 10, which gives me 10. So here it will be $10, here it will be $10. So remember, I use my FBA. My first buying amount is $10. You all agree? You can see here I have my first buying amount to be $10. My margin configuration. Multiple buy-in ratio, 0.5, which is $5. Because 0.5 times 10 is $5. Another one 5, another one 5. So this gives me $15. Remember, out of my $100, I've already spent $10 as FBA. I'm left with $90. $15 is out for first 3 calls. The fourth call, another $10, making it $25. And then the fifth call, another $10, making it $35. plus the first buying amount of $10, which gives me what? $45. Let me put the calculation here. So I have 0.5, 0.5. We all know that the 0.5 here is going to be multiplied by my FBA of $10, which gives me $5, $5, $5. This is going to give me $10. This is going to give me $10 because it's 1 times the FBA. This totals what? 30. Sorry, okay. So we have this 15. So yes, this is going to give me 35 plus my first buying amount of $10, which gives me $45. So I have used almost 50%, but this is not 50, it's 4.5%, 45% of the money that I've been given. I leave the rest for margin. So you see that when all these buys in total, I will only have before I even, okay, so in total, I will only have $45 in trade, leaving the rest there. And this is the quiz I want to put out for now. If I have $45 in trade, how much is the actual money? How much of my actual capital is in this $45? If I can have that answer in the comment section. How much of mine? Because right now I have 45. So by the calculation we did, total money that will go into this trade is $45. Remember, I took 10x and they gave me $100. I've only used $45. And I'm asking, this $45, how much of it is my capital itself? Considering that I took 10x. Let's come to the Zoom. Let me see how many people get that with me. Oh, sorry. Yes. 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. Wow. I'm happy. Wow. Okay. So we all get it. Yes. So, yes. Yes, divided by 10, 4.5. Exactly. I'm getting answers. Good. Wow. I'm happy. Our leaders have really done well. Great. So now let us get back here. Let's get back here. So you realize that with my $10, they're giving me $100. I didn't use all. I only use 45. That is even if the trade is to go that much deep. And in most cases, if we are in a very bullish market condition, it will hardly even get to the fifth call. Even the fourth call, it will hardly get there. So whether I still have extra 55 left to what? To fill up, which means it has to go extra 50% before I can get liquidated. The coin has to go extra 50% before I can get liquidated. And this is rare, especially with the sniper signals. It's very rare. So I hope this is clear. Then is the margin configuration okay? Before I move on, is the margin configuration okay? Let me go back to the chat to see if there are some questions for me. Where is $55 going to be used as? Please, what is UV? As you've already opened margin calls and done with the settings. So 55 is going to buffer. When we say buffer, it simply means that it's going to, or let me use the future term more, it's going to contribute to the margin. Okay, my 5, remember, I now have $5.5 left and I've of my own money. And it is only $4.5 of my own money that is in the market. And I have more It's like I've used only $4 or $4.5. I still have extra money, which is even more than what I've used to cover for me. So that remaining balance is just going to be there, and then will be helping you as buffer. You don't really need the 050, it's just your $5, 5.5, that will be helping you as buffer. And this is, as I said, before you all that $5 will go into the market for you to lose your position. Your negative must be 10. It's not that, you see, I think people confuse this a lot. Let me go back here. Let me go back here. Save. Let me save this and go back. I have to come down here. So this is where people mostly get confused. Down here, where I'm going to mark out. Down here. Here. When all this money, when this place becomes zero, it doesn't mean that you get liquidated. No. When this place becomes zero, if you are in a trade and this place becomes zero, it doesn't mean you get liquidated. No. Okay, it doesn't mean so. It is only if you see that your negative, you see, most these are your profit and loss. So it's only if you see this happen here. You see 100. Let's say you see your percentage 100%, and then here, the money that will appear here, the value that will appear here should be equivalent. Sorry, if that money is equivalent to your total capital. In my case, that might $10. If the negative here becomes $10, it means I'll be liquidated. But if the negative here is not yet up to, maybe it's just $2. It's just $2. Just two like this. Just $2. The pen should work. Just two like this. I should not fumble because I know that what? And total capital is 10. And it's just two that is here. It's playing the role of margin for me. I hope this demonstration is very, very clear. Let me go back to the comment, to the charts. Yes. I hope this is very clear. No. I always get confused here with this margin call thing. Okay. From the margin configuration, does it mean we are having 26% call drop? So your trading is less than half of your FB. Tuku Grace, FBA is the FBA is not equal to your total capital. Please, your FBA, Tuku Grace, I'm answering your question. Your FBA is not equal to your capital. No, your capital is different from the FBA. First buying amount is different from your capital. Okay. Now, I took 10x. So because I took 10x, this is what is happening here. Because I took 10x, okay. So I now have $100 because I took 10x. Yes, my capital is $10. I took 10x, $100. So now I have $100. Whichever way I'll use it is my own problem. I shouldn't use it anyhow, right? So now I have $100, and my first buy is just $10 from the $100. Okay, to Greece. It's $10 from the $100. Okay, not from my $10, but from the $100. It's $10 from the $100. Hello, let me confirm it there. Is it clear? I hope this will help. Okay. So the 100, you said my leverage. So because of the leverage that I have to be 10x, that is why I now have 100. So the leverage is the exchange borrows me. So Grace, please. Why here from the beginning of the class? Okay, because I said that the exchange will lend you when you take leverage of 10x, the exchange now makes your money $100. So out of the $100, my first buy is $10. It's coming from the $100 that the exchange has borrowed me. Okay, so the $100 is from the exchange. It's what the exchange has borrowed me. I hope this helps. Okay, so Casca, don't worry, don't worry. There'll be there's a recorded version, so you can please rewatch it. Okay, yeah. So let me move up. How can someone configure the margin call to suit in any capital, whether 5, 10? Okay, David, please, I would get to that. All right. My question: if you are longing the position, can you still use this trade setup? Yes, you can use this same trade setup. In fact, I manage multiple accounts, and this trade setup is what I use. Yes, I use this trade setup. When I get the Daminates signal, any other signal, I put it in, it works perfectly for me. And $10, I used it to raise $28. And I've taken out my $18 and then left the $10 inside again. Okay, so let me start from here. Where is 55K? I've answered that. So from the margin configuration, does it mean we are having 26% call drop? I'll go there and check. So we have 0.2, 0.2. Let me deal with the questions one after the other, please. So from what I did, okay, let me just come in here. So this 0.0.2, 0.2, 0.2. So we have this 0.6, this 2, so 2.6. So yes, 2.6% actually, but you see it when you take 10x leverage, you see it as 26. If it drops completely off, so our actual drop is not 26%. It's only 26% in leverage of 10x. In leverage of 5x, you see it as 26%. No, you just see 2.6 times 5. That is if it drops and buys everything. So here, when you add the drops here, multiply it by the leverage that you take. Okay. I hope this answers your question, please. Let's move on. So you trading with less than, I've answered that. Yes. Okay. Kate, please, have answered that. David, how can someone configure the margin call to suit in any capital, whether $5, $10? All right. So to David's question, the leverage of 10. Okay, I've answered that. Assuming you close it manually in -2, does that mean you have lost only the 2 USDT, not the entire capital? Yes. So that negative 2 that you see there, it means you've lost. Sorry, when you close it, it means you lose only the 2, not the entire capital. Thank you. With $10 as your trading capital, using a leverage of 10%, sorry, of 10x rather, okay, and 5x. How do you set up your FBA and your margin cost? I just joined. Okay, so I've already dealt with that. So there'll be there's a recorded version. Please, you could watch that. How many seasons do we have in the crypto trade? I understand we have the bullish, bearish, if I'm not mistaken. Then when do we experience these seasons in the year? This will help me control my appetite when entering the market. So this season we are in the bull season. But you see, in the crypto space, when there is a pump, there should be a healthy retracement. It cannot just be pumping. No, when that happens, be a collapse ban. So when there is a push, expect a pullback. Okay, this I think from last 2 months, I have seen massive bullish movement. Okay, so generally we have a bullish trend. Okay, there is just normal pullback. Okay, and crypto also has it's very sensitive to geopolitical issues, so that could come in. But generally, you see that the market is bullish. Generally, but right now in the middle, we are somewhere experiencing a normal pullback. So it means the exchange has actually borrowed you. So this is where I'm talking. the exchange has borrowed you 100. It didn't borrow you 90. See, it has borrowed you the 100. Okay, but you are using your 10 as collateral. It is borrowing you 10 times of your 100 of your 10, which is, so now you have 100. Okay, it just is 100, but your 10 is just serving as collateral. Your 10 is serving as collateral. Okay. Okay, notes, Dave. Thanks. All right, Kate. What is the difference between the first buying amount of the one you click on and the first buying amount of where the ING token amount is? I think this question. Okay, this question has come again. What's the difference between the first buy-in amount of the one you click on and the first buy-in amount of where the ING token amount is 0.4? It's the same. So depending on the coin, I was thinking that the margin call but should be more than the first buy-in amount. What is the implication if it's half of it? Half of the first buy-in amount. There is no implication. There is no implication. Okay, so probably it will just be as I've explained. If your first buying amount is $10, okay, and then you have your multiple buying to be, let's say, half of $10, which is 5. Remember, you're not having only one margin configuration. You have about 2, 3, 4. So even if it's 0.5 times 4, which is about 2, that 2 times your first buying amount, you could just see that 0.5555 times 4 is $20 already. Okay, so when you add or you realize that it's actually even more than the FBA. Okay, I need a one-on-one class with you, Omar. Still lost, though. I was here from the beginning. Wow. Okay. Okay, so there's also a recorded version you can go over. All right, but I'll be available. Anyone to drop link to recorded video after? All right. So all right. So I confirm. Then I've explained margin configuration and you are done with that. So the next thing you do is to just come in and save your settings and then you activate your trade. There was a question that I found in there, which is here. I want to just do this for everyone. We've been given a signal. Then we are going in for a trade. Let me use a different coin this time round. This is the last thing I'm doing. I'm very certain. Then I close. Let's say we have AGT, for example, just a signal. Say trade AGT or algo. Just for that sake, I tap on the coin. Then I tap on create. Then it says, maybe let's say it says I should short because I saw a short question too. So if I'm to short, I tap here. If I'm to long, the white here simply tells me that it's already on long. If I'm to short, I just tap on the short side like that. Then I come to trade settings. I do this to help with coordination. When you tap on shorts, the next thing you should do is to come to the trade settings, okay? So trade settings, I tap on it. Then remember what I said. Choose a strategy setting is the first thing you do. So I tap on it. Since I'm having $10, I come and tap on this. That's my settings. So what I do next is to look at strategy mode. I have fifth core open. I can decide to put it on SABI mode, real-time settlement, or whole warehouse mode. SABI mode, real-time settlement is good. Whole warehouse mode is also good. Depends on you. Mostly, I don't put SABI mode real-time. I just want to get out faster, so I just leave it on whole warehouse mode. Okay, but I've seen some trades on SABI mode, real-time settlement, but please, if you are putting it on SABI mode, real-time settlement, it means that you have a lot of capital there to back your SABI mode real-time settlement, especially if you're having 10, 11, 12 core, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cores, okay? But in all, no one wants to stay long in futures trade because remember, we have what we call, the timer count, there is a countdown, which every time you stay long in a trade, it could either be a long position or short position, there will be some deduction. So it's not really best to, unless you have capital there, okay, way more than what you are using in the trade. Then that one, when you are deducted, you don't really feel anything. But please, whole warehouse mode, then you are out. Okay. So first buying amount 1440. Let me clean this. By default, this should give me, by default, it should be equivalent to, okay, let me try putting this and try to save it. Okay, so 19.9 I'll go. So 19.9 I'll go. So by default, if this is my first time opening this trade, I'll go. The minimum they will give me is 19.9, which is equivalent to $5. So someone asked, if I had $5 capital, how do I go? $5, you take your leverage. Maybe let's say you take 10x, which is $50. $50. Your first buying amount, you don't have any option than to make it 5. Okay? First buying amount, you can make it 5. If the market is bullish, if the market is very strong bullish momentum, then you can look at maybe increasing it to maybe 10. But 5, and then that'll be okay. If you have 10, you've taken leverage times times 10, you have 100. So you can make it your $10, okay, by just multiplying the 19.9 by 2 to give you an equivalency of $10. The next thing you do, since you already have the setup, if you don't have, you come and then work on your margin call limit. Okay, margin call limit. I put 5 because of my capital. Let's say your capital is $50. You can just put 3 margin calls. 3 is okay. Okay, 3 is 0.5, 0.53. It's okay. Then you'd move on to tap on save. Then you are good to go. You tap on activate, and then your trade starts running. I would like to bring my class one in here, and let me quickly come to the chat box if there are more questions. So yes, I was referring to the funding fee. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. So the link to the recorded version will be dropped here. Yes, please. If my leverage is 10x, can I only use 20 of the leverage and use the remaining 80% as margin cost for any replenishment? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do that. You can do that. But always it's recommended your total trade shouldn't take all the money away. For example, $100. If your total trade at most it should just consume at most 70. That's what I recommend. At most 70. Safer side 50%, 45%. Yeah. You don't need to use all their money. Can the same setting we used as case study this morning be used when using 5x? Yes. 5x, you can use that too. Can I have your contact number, Pascal? Must we use triggers for future? So futures, you can apply the same thing. We have MACD, we have you can use indicators, MACD, KDJ, RSI. But please, futures, I recommend that if you can't read the chart yourself, look at if you are realizing that there is a MACD crossing about to happen, then you enter. You can also set it on MACD. Okay, yeah. You can also use the triggers, because most of the trades of the signals come in their current market price, trigger signals. Okay. In the recent example you just showed, where did you get a 19.9 from? So up though, the 19.9 is the minimum quantity of tokens, okay, of which token? The algo token. This algo. So this is what you are referring to. Algo, the minimum. So crypto prices fluctuate here and there. Let's make this 120. Okay. So algo, the minimum token of algo, which will give you $5. Remember, Binance, your minimum first buy can only be $5. So algo, 20 algo is equivalent to $5. So even if 100 algo is equivalent to $5, you see 100 there if it's your first time in. Okay, so the 19 there was just the minimum value. I hope this answers your question out, Abdul, please. This is my first time hearing staying too long in the futures market cause for penalty. Please, for how long can one stay in the future trade if you don't want to that or pay the wow. So it's not even your duration per se. So actually most of the signals that are being released on my side and the side of the Daminata, I'm very certain that, and most of the leaders too who are very aware, most of the signals when they come, it doesn't mean that you'd be deducted. Now, when you are to be deducted, it's not a penalty per se, it's just a way to balance, okay, the futures market, okay, it's just a way to balance. So there is no specific time, it's just a timer. So mostly you can go to the exchange and then you check the timer, okay, yeah. But when you are using live trades, okay, mostly you just go and then activate your trade and then you are in. The only thing is when you are in the trade, you can check on the time if you are staying too long because we can't predict 100% of the market. But amazingly, most of the signals which come through here, they perform. Yeah, 90%, 95%, they do. Very hardly do you get liquidated. Very hardly. Yeah, very hard. Unless one time, since it's crypto, you should just prepare for that. And please, when you make profit, move your profit from your futures to funding. Always do that, okay? So that when you look, at least you see what you have made. But hard, if you follow these settings, these simple settings, you would hardly get liquidated. And when you make profit, please take the profit to your funding. Don't leave it. You may not understand today, but with time you get to understand. Don't leave your profit there. Take it out, please. For how long? Okay, thanks. I really appreciate leader Ernest. Please, I'm confused about settings. Okay, this is good. So this is about MACD, right? This MACD. Please, if you have a trade which hasn't closed yet, can you enter another signal? Please, it's not for me. I don't recommend if you have a running trade, especially if your capital is depending on your capital. Let's say you have $100 capital and you have a trade of $20 running, which has not closed. I mean, you still have $80. You can pick another trade, but just be careful that the next trade that you pick, it shouldn't consume so much. So just be careful, okay? So for example, in my $10, with my $10, for example, let's say my first trade there, $45 is floating. I wouldn't pick another trade again. No, it's absolutely wrong. Because the money, when it's there, serves as buffer. Okay, unless in extreme cases it's sniper. But how do you know that this is sniper? What if it doesn't sniper out? So the best thing is to avoid. But let's say I have $100 myself and I've taken, let's say, 10x leverage, or let's say I have $50. Even if I have $50, or let's say I even have $30 and I've taken 10x, which is $300, and then I'm only using $45 in the first trade. I mean, I still have extra money. I can pick another trade. Okay, yeah. Apart from Binance, can I use other? Yes, other exchange for future. Yes, you can. But the other exchanges have issues with leverage. You can't change the leverage directly. At least I've experienced for ATX, and then Mexi does not even have leverage. OKX too, you can't do the leverage. Also, at least for these three exchanges I have. Okay, it does. All right, all right. Thanks for your class, Omar. And now have homework to do. We appreciate your knowledge. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you for also listening to me. I'm better than when I started. Thanks. All right. I also really appreciate whatever amount is being used in the multiple buy-in ratio without the leverage. It's supposed to be your actual capital only. Whatever amount is being used in the multiple buying. Yes, without leverage. Very good. Without leverage. Yes. Please, where would I get the recorded version, please? Please, a link will be dropped in, David. I don't think I'm doing something right. I get liquidated often. It means probably you're not doing something right, okay? Probably Casca. So Casca, you asked me to leave my contact behind. Casca, please. Okay, nice training. Thanks. What if you are not using margin call? So it's good to have margin call. Okay, it's good. You have to have it. It's better to, if you don't have margin call, it won't buy any call. It will just go and sell your first buying for you. In fact, there are some sniper trades which comes through and then ship, they sell instantly. It is better to trade on one coin at a time. It's the best thing you can do until you have, I mean, your knowledge is up to an extent where you can manage two trades. But even with that, I think if your knowledge is up to that extent, you know that you have to apply your capital appropriately. How can someone configure the margin calls to suit in any capital, whether 5, 10? So I think I explained that too. Sir, please respond to this. Okay, I did. David, or you want me to? Okay, let me leave here and go and get it done for you. Okay, please, what does greater than or less than means in the futures market trading? It means the same as that of sports. It's the same as sports. Thank you so much. God bless. Same to you. Please give me margin configuration for $30. So if the same settings is for $30, you just change your first buying amount, make it $10. Yes, you just make your first buying amount. So let's say this is the coin. So trade settings for $10. I'm coming. $30. So hold on, please. Where is, so someone asked, Mr. David asked for $5. $5. So $5, what will be your what is, let's assume you take a leverage of 10x. 10x leverage, $5 is $50. Okay, $50. Remember, for me, I've said my principle is I don't exceed 50% of my capital. So that $10 that I have, I'm only going to use at most $50. At most, sorry, out of that my $10 capital itself, I'm only going to use $5. Okay, which means that when I go to take my leverage of 10x of my $10, it is 100. I'm only using at most $50. I don't exceed 50% of my capital or of the total amount that I've been given. So if you have $5, you can also decide that, okay, I'm using only 50%, which is $2.5. That 2.5, if you've taken leverage of your total $5, $25. You can make your first buying amount 5 like this. If you have $5, please listen attentively. $5, make your first buying amount 5. $10, you can make your first buying amount 5. You can also decide that you make it 10. Then $5, you go to margin configuration. When you first come to your margin call limit, okay? Your margin call limit, $5. Your margin call limit, you should reduce it to 4. You can even make it 3. Depends. Okay. So you should reduce it to 4. Then margin configuration. Your margin configuration. Since you've reduced it to 4, okay, you can excuse me, very sorry. So you should reduce it to 4. Okay. Excuse me. So you should reduce it to 4. When you reduce it to 4, you have 0.5, 0.5. This gives you 15. This $15 plus your $20, and you make here, please, because your capital is small, you make 0.5. Okay. I have a simple rule: don't exceed 50% of your capital, at most 70%. So if you think risk, so okay, 1%. So 1, which means this is $5, $5, $5, $15. This, when you add this 10 to this 5 also to it, it gives you Sorry, so $5. Your first buying amount is $5. So one. Here will also be one. One. This is for $5. So one. Here is also one. Here's also one. So you have here 20. 20 plus that 5 gives you 25. It means that if you have $5, only use $25 in the trade. Leave the remaining 2.5. Sorry, the remaining 25 there for buffer. If you take 10x leverage, please. I'm explaining according to 10x leverage. You can use this settings $5. Should I leave it to be screenshot? If you want to screenshot, you can, please. If you are using $5, your margin configuration can go like this. At most, it's only 50% that will go into the market. At most. Why am I making here 1, 1, 1, 1? Remember, my first buying amount is $5. So that's 1 times 1 times 1 times. Now, I'm going to explain if you have $10 trading capital, $10. 10 to, if you have $10, $10 to $30. Look at some, if you have $10, you can open it like this. Your first buying amount, $10, you make 5. Okay, or you can make your first buying amount 10. Remember, $10 you've taken 10x, it is $100. The goal, the ultimate goal, what you need to understand is this market bullish? When you see that we are giving more long position signals, you should understand that the market is bullish. So with bullish market, you can put $10 here so that even if it doesn't buy any margin call, it goes to sell that $10 for you. Okay, but to be on one thing about trade is discipline is very, very important. So to stick to your disciplinary measures, 10, sorry, this 40. So 40, I'll go give me $10. So I take my 10. This is I have $10 capital and I'm taking 10x, which is $100. When I come in here to my margin configuration, remember, 10 with my $10, you can open 5 margin calls. You can also open 4 margin calls. It's all up to you. When I open 5, I come to margin configuration. I then, my first call 0.0, 0.2, fourth call 1%, fifth call 1%. My multiple buy-in ratio. Remember, my first buying amount is $10. So my multiple buy-in should be 0.5. Okay, I do 0.5 for all. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Sorry. So this side I pick 1. What is my motive? $10 capital, leverage 10x. So I have $100 now. So my mind from here is I have $100 and I'm only willing to use only $50. I've already taken $10 out there. So the rest of the $40, I'm going to spread them here. I have here $5, giving me 10, 15. This is, when I add this, it gives me 25. When I add this, it gives me 35. In fact, so 10 here is 20, so 35 plus that 10 making 40 45. So in fact, I can even add 1 call, okay, for it to square the 50, but no, I limit it to 5 margin calls because sometimes you not get exactly 5, you get 5 point something. That's a limit. 5 margin calls, please. If you are using $10 strategy, if you are using $30, $20, the same strategy, the same trade margin configuration settings is okay. Okay, the same thing. You can snap this 10, 20, 30, the same thing. Okay, the only thing you change from 10 going or 20, from 10 going, you can be adjusting your first buying amount. You can be adjusting your first buying amount. Okay, so if you have, let's say, $30, for example, your first buying amount, you can decide to make it, you can still maintain 10 and open more margin calls. You can also decide to, okay, I'll make my first buying amount 15. You can make your first buying amount 15 if you have $30 going. Okay, but for me, I always say the money is at the margin call side. Okay, then we come to distributed take profits and take profit allocation. It only comes in when you have your fifth call. Okay, this only comes when you have your fifth call. Remember, first 4 calls are sold together in a pool, but distributed is from the fifth. So the fifth, how much profit do you want to take on the fifth position? 1.3%. Confirm. I hope this helps. I've answered Mr. David. I hope. Thanks so much. God bless. Give me margin confirm. So 30, then Augustine Abuachi. It's better to trade on one time. All right. So Augustina Abuaji says, please, I'm confused here. Let's say your coin quantity is $100, which is supposed to be the FBA, and you choose a leverage of 5x. Please, is the 5x going to divide the $100 or multiply it? Your coin quantity cannot be $100. No, it can't. Or do you say if it's equivalent to $100? Okay. So if your coin quantity is equivalent to $100, you can change it depending on your capital. How much is your capital? Please, is the 5x going to divide the $100 or multiply it? What is your capital, Augustine Abuaji? Please. So if your trading capital is $100, okay, and she takes 5x, it is so that becomes 100 times 5, 100 times 5, 500, right? Yes. You say I'm out of coverage area. Let's go and use the calculator. I don't have to worry myself. 100, she has $100 capital. She takes 500 is $100 times 5x, 500. Yes, calculator is there. So 500. And her first buying amount. Let's look at her case study. First buying amount is, yes, Bitcoin B. Unfortunately, that is what it is. I've heard of that. You could go to the exchange directly and then apply the leverage there. And I've not really taken a look at that personally, because I tried it sometime on HTX. I wasn't really getting that concept. Okay. So apart from Binance, I don't know which any other exchange. Okay. Maybe my leaders here could, if any leader here knows that, then I think they can help us out with that. So back to Augustina Boaji. So she says, so yes, so now your capital becomes $500. So let's assume that your first buying amount is $100. $100, yes. So that $100, okay, the $100 is coming from, is going to be that from the $500, okay. So your actual capital in that $100. So let's say your capital is is $100, and then taking leverage of 5x, which makes $500. Your first buying amount, if let's say it is equivalent to $100, like this, 400 algo is equivalent to $100, like this. The actual money that you have, let's say our leverage is 5. The actual money that is here, which is yours, is just $5. Okay, out of your real capital, that your $100. Okay, it's only $5 that is here. It's only 5. Because what happens here is that with this 100 USDT, okay, this 100 USDT is here. All this 100 is not your money. No, no, no. Okay, just divide this by, you took 5, so divide it by 5. The figure that you get is what is your money. So I think it's $2 or so. Let me see. So let's pick the 100 USDT divided by 100 USDT divided by, because you can leverage of 5. So 20 USDT of your actual capital is what is there. 20 rather. Okay, 20. So if your leverage is 10 divided by 10, you see that it's actually $10 of your capital that is there. But if your leverage is 5, it's 20. So you're asking whether you multiply or divide. It's divide, okay? So if you take 5x, then your first buying amount is 100. You Just divide that 100 by 5. You see the actual money of your capital, which is in here, in that first buying amount. I hope this answers Augustina's question. Understood. Thank you. Thank you all. It can't work if you do it on the exchange. We all have to write to support to add more leverage on the rest of the exchange. Okay. So my leader is responding to Augustine. All right, thank you. So to the one who asked about the ATX and other leverage on other exchanges, so we just have to keep requesting. I've also done that. I've also written to support that they should look at it, and yes, because sometimes only Binance, like some kind of, you are stick to that because some people in other don't have access to Binance. So yes, so unfortunately, that is only doable with Binance that you have leverage. Okay. Yes. I hope this helps. All right. So I like to end um my lesson or our session here. I really appreciate and thank everyone for coming, for making it here. So if I get it clearly, you mean one should use only 50% of the whole leverage and leave the rest? Yes, it's best. It's best like that. When you do that, it's best. Yes, it's best. Jibril Isa, yes, it's best. Joy, thank you. I thank all of you. And Casca, please reach out to Leader Doris. Leader Doris, please. Casca, you could reach out to Leader Doris, and then I think I can reach out to you through Leader Doris. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, please. You did not answer my question. Mami Fosua Asante, please. Mami Fosua, please. Can you please get your question in again, please? Maybe it skipped me. All right. Mami Fosua Asante, please drop me. How can one move his or her profit to funding? Oh, okay. Oh, it's simple. You just go to your um you go to your Binance, go to futures, okay? Binance. When you open your Binance, at the lower right hand corner, you see assets. Tap on assets. At the top of assets, you find spot um spot funding and then futures. You select futures. You check the profit that you've made from Royal Q. Then you go and transfer that same amount of today's profit. Then, whoa, I think there'll be a class on that. Okay. Clarify on charges that applies if futures trade takes too long. Oh, okay. So I'm being forced to go to my Binance. If I would have extra 2-3 minutes, I would do that. Thank you. So let me just ask from here. Please, should I go extra 2-3 minutes just to do the Binance? If you support that, a one in the comment section. If not, then I think I have to enter the class here. Okay, okay, so all right. Okay. All right. So let me just do it, please. So now, where is my Binance even? Let me even use okay. People are using Binance. Let me just use Binance. So Binance. You come to Binance. I open my Binance. Then all right. So you come to this side. You come here, funding. When you open your Binance home assets, and then you come to funding. Then you come to futures. When you tap on futures, you need to look at transfer. Okay, tap on transfer. Now look at this. when you come to transfer, this is where everything is done. Let me get my marker out. See this. Transfer. The arrow here, you need to take look at it very well. Now, transfer is from, look at from here, from spot wallet to USDM futures. So if I'm transferring from my futures, I have to change the spot side to futures. But you can see that the spot is below. So I just tap on the arrow here, this arrow, the reversible reaction arrow. Tap on it like this. Like this. You realize that you now see USD futures at the top and spot wallet at the down. Remember, I'm moving from my futures to not spot, but to my funding. We're going to take it to spot, but to my funding. So I tap when I tap on the spot like this, list. I have a list. So we have funding, we have coin M futures, we have spot wallet, we have margin, cross margin, we have isolated margin. So I'm taking it to funding. So when you just tap at this side, then you look for funding. This is funding. The first one is funding for me. So then you come to the coin section. You find USDT. Then you come to amount. So you key in, if let's say I've made on this $9, I've made maybe let's say I've made maybe let's say $1 for the day. I just put in the one here, the amount I've made. Then you tap on confirm transfer. Then it confirms. That's all. Transfer is successful, right? Thank you. I hope this is clear demonstratively in the comment section. Those who requested. Those who requested. Obviously, the first time it wouldn't be okay for you to know, but I think as time goes on. So thank you all very much. I really appreciate. I would like to end the class here, and let's meet here next time. Bye bye. So those, please, someone people requested for the link to the video, so it will be pasted. You have it on the various platforms that we all come from. Doris will make it available, please. All right, bye to everyone. Closing. Bye. Bye. Thanks to everyone. Thanks. Bye. And we can all leave now.